We are back.
Whoa. It's been a while, right? When was the last time we were on?
2 weeks ago?
Wow.
Feels like June to me.
I know. I think it was March, right?
Or something. Yeah, March maybe.
It's all been a blur.
Oh man, that was a good break though. I really did make the most of it. I went and just, stared at a blank wall for I think about 3 days or so, just to try and decompress. But no, it's guess what though? It's reInvent time. So
It's reInvent season.
Reinvent.
Yeah.
season. That's a better description.
Yeah, it really is. It's a season here.
Yeah, it's almost a month. Reinvent month.
yeah,
And if not for Christmas, it probably would be a month.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, you're probably right. We'll figure that out. We'll figure out how to push Christmas back or something.
Yeah, right. Because we can, I guess. So we did just actually kick off just a quick little ECS announcement. We did kick off with our release of the circuit breaker functionality in ECS. So with deployments, this was a common issue. It was we had a GitHub issue open for it. Basically, just you triggered a deploy. If it failed, it just kind of indefinitely hung.
Yep.
So we resolved that with automated rollbacks now. So really cool. Check it out. It's on my Twitter. I should have come here with a link. I didn't. That's lame. Sorry. I'll find it at some point.
Just go to real Adam J. Keller's Twitter and throw him a follow while you're at it.
Hey, thanks.
Me too, if you want. And definitely Chad Metcalf.
Yes. Chad. So okay, we have a lot of reInvent stuff. Just really quick, we are going to talk a ton about reInvent in the coming weeks, right, Brent? Like we have a whole bunch of stuff.
100%. We have a ton of stuff lined up, and we're gonna publish our schedule sometime tomorrow afternoon with all of it, just to let you know what's coming. So get excited for that.
Yes, because we have announcements. A lot of cool announcements coming down. I'm not going to say anything right now. I can't do that.
Be careful. Be careful.
But they're cool. I can say that, right? I can say they're cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that implies that there's more than one. So you're giving a little bit too much away.
Stop talking, Adam.
But are you guys the whole week? Are you live for reInvent every day?
Yeah, we're going to be. So there's a couple of shows that blocked us out. I think this coming Thursday we're out, but we'll be back on Friday. We don't normally do Fridays, but for reInvent, hey, it's special, right? Sure. So we're going to do Fridays. And we'll be on 5 days a week for the next 3 weeks.
Yes, and there is no such thing as too much cool, Buckjump. Remember that. There's no such thing. Okay, but all that aside, we're going to have a lot of fun in the coming weeks talking about reInvent stuff. But today, we're going to talk about the ECS integration with Docker. And as you can see, we have Chad here. We have Jonah here. So Jonah, you've seen on the show a few times. Chad has also been on the show before. He's super cool, super funny. But before we get into intros, hello to everyone. We have a lot of people saying hi in the chat. It's so nice to see everyone. We got Myanmar, Taiwan.
Yeah. This is awesome. So we started. Let me tell you this. Just a quick story for Jonah and Chad, because they may not realize this, but this week we started Containers from the Couch Japan, and so we've picked up some people in that geo who are now following us, and so I'm sure the alert just went out, and we have people from Taiwan, Myanmar, and so on joining. So welcome everyone. That's awesome. And when you watch Tori, our Japanese developer advocate, say hi from us. I mean, I know I can Slack him and everything, but it's kind of cool to get a message via the public. So just tell him we said hi.
Yes. The show is getting syndicated now.
That's right. Syndication.
But no residuals.
You got to get some. So one, yes, and then two, you got to get Europe somewhere. I mean,
I know,
somewhere
right?
good so you can go visit.
That's right.
Whenever we can go visit things.
Like Spain and France, as a matter of
Yes.
fact. I mean, those are among my favorite European countries. So
We could get a Hawaii one too and visit.
that's right. Yeah.
I'm down to permanently take ownership of that one, just so you know.
Okay. Relocation package.
The whole thing.
Right.
So, all right.
Containers from the villa.
Oh, that sounds lovely.
Or the lanai.
Yeah, there you go. Even better.
Was it Chad we were having this conversation with about islands and Brent, you said Maui wasn't an island. Maybe
where
it
I
wasn't
embarrassed
Chad.
myself with my
Yes.
lack of understanding of the Hawaiian Islands.
I don't think it was me, but
Okay.
I will
Well,
happily. I mean, you know,
you have a familiar face.
Well, yes, I know. So okay, my favorite island is Kauai. It is the furthest out, and it is the calmest in terms of
Absolutely.
tourists. So
I need to go there.
If we're gonna do it, we might as well go out to Kauai, head out to the north side.
I was about to ask which
Bay.
side of Hawaii, because Hawaii is really cool because it's like half desert and half rainforest, and you can kind of pick your, what your preference is for the day and just hang out in either one of those.
Yeah, I almost died proposing to my wife on the Nepali coast. So we almost fell off the cliff and became a statistic. So
Yep.
I'll tell you guys that story some other time, but we should probably talk about ECS. I mean, I love Hawaii, but we should talk about ECS too.
Yes. And
Cool.
so let's do that. So why don't you, I guess, well, first of all, let's do maybe, Chad, if for those who don't know you, maybe do a quick introduction, say who you are and why you're so cool, and then let's get into the integration.
My name's Chad Metcalf. I work at Docker. I am a cloudy architect at Docker. I work a lot with our CSP providers, so our CSP partners like Amazon. And the ECS integration that we're talking about today is what I have been working on for about 2 years. So wow. I started with the idea, I then went and started talking to folks at Amazon, and it takes a long time to get these things rolling. So we had lots of discussions and architectures and business meetings and had all of that fun. And now I get to do the actual fun, which is where it now works and is now GA, and now we can actually type and play with it a lot more. So it's
awesome.
The coolest thing that I've worked on at Docker, I think. And I've been at Docker for 6 years. So I'm super proud of the work that the team put together, both the Docker team, the fantastic engineers that actually did the curly brace part, and the PM for this is awesome. And also the Amazon team like Jonah and Carmen and everyone else who really helped just tremendously. So this is to see it GA, I guess November 19-ish. Was sort of like the highlight of my 2020. So I'm excited.
Nice. At least something good happens in 2020.
Yeah.
There it is.
Awesome. Yeah.
So this actually went into private beta right around when the whole pandemic started. And seeing how far it's gone during the pandemic has been crazy too. Because it could barely work in the no offense in the beginning.
Yeah. It's been it's actually been really quick to, at least in my head, from when we first rolled out that initial MVP through November when it GA'd, and watching sort of the iterative feedback from users, from customers, from Amazon's field, from y'all actually. So I'm gonna show the new credential flow, and I recall the first unboxing y'all did. The number one thing was like, hey, this is weird for my creds.
Yep.
And so we'll show that. But yeah, it's really cool to just watch team effort and all, and just how far it's come, and also just in an iterative way, right, which was the original goal, to see features just sort of pop up and then get to be used, and then the next thing shows up the next week where you can do something new. So we'll show a bunch of new stuff a little bit of some of the old stuff and then a bunch of the new stuff.
Nice. All right, who's driving?
I'll start.
Okay.
With some of the old stuff, new stuff. So just real quick, the blog for this is out. I'll drop it in the chat that I have, and then maybe somebody can drop it in the chat for everybody. But this will just sort of walk you through sort of the history and everything about and some of the new features. So that's a good place to start. But I think we'll actually start with like the flashback to the beginning, which is this is the app that I demoed on containers last time, and it's a simple web application. It's a timestamper. Click, and new timestamps show up. You'll notice that there's a new bit down here, demo for containers from the couch, and I'll show you what this is all about here in a second. But basically, this is Redis. It's a Redis backend with just a simple Python Flask front. So let's go look at what's in here. So the app itself is pretty simple. It's just a Flask app. It uses Redis, just grabs it from the quote unquote back end. This is a new bit here where it's going to check for a secret, and then it pushes a timestamp into Redis, and then pulls all the timestamps out, and then renders that as a page. So this secret bit is what we added. So if we go look at the Docker file for this, you'll see it's almost the same thing. Two things: a front end, a back end, which is just Redis, and then we added a secrets. And this is super secret.txt, which is just a file in my directory which gets sent up. And if we go look at that secrets, it's just, in this case, it's containers from the couch. Now, what I could have done is actually done a real secret thing where I had Redis with a password, and then that'd be useful, but it's less interesting to demo. So so I did the other piece. So this containers from the couch is actually coming from the secret. And if we go back to the app, the way that secrets work in Docker with y'all is it gets mounted as a file inside of the container. And so in this case, run secrets classified. The name of the secrets was classified. And it just becomes a file that you can read and then spit out wherever you want. So anything that can read a file can take in a secret. And the secret can be more or less anything. And if I can't demo this because the app that I wrote isn't smart enough to, the container itself won't refresh its secret unless the container is restarted. But Docker's smart enough, at least the integration's smart enough that we can actually change the secret. So let's do hello again, and then let's also change the app while we're here. So we're going to change the template, and we're going to change. Let's see. I'm going to go to. Yeah, that sounds good. See, we're both on Twitch and YouTube, I believe.
Yes.
So, hello, Twitch and YouTube. And now we'll see what's changed. All right, we're going to get add.
Practicing a good Git workflow right now.
Trying to. Also, this thing is complicated enough that I have to remember that I'm pushing that I need to push before things happen, because what happens locally doesn't happen in ECS. YouTube. That's the kind of commit message that all your coworkers hope to see.
Yes.
So we're going to do build.
Got the period though, at least.
Yeah. And we're going to push this to hub. So this is in hub. So I think we talked about this last time. Once this gets done, I'll show it again.
And Chad, tell me if I'm jumping the gun here and you're going to address this, but I know there's integration with Secrets Manager as well. So
Yes.
it sounds like using this, I have two options. One, I can have my secret locally, and then the Docker integration is going to manage the rest for me. Or I can have a secret in Secrets Manager and just simply reference that. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it's right here. So actually, you can actually see the secret that I created locally got created as a Secrets Manager secret, and now it's sitting there as classified secret.
Nice.
So it's
Awesome.
very secure. And so, and actually, what we're about to do is we're about to update that secret. So I changed it now. I could actually go in and change it however you want to manage a Secrets Manager secret, which is probably what you really want to do, and not just use a file and just launch it in. But for the sake of demos, it makes it pretty easy to do it. But if we go back and look at this like Docker file real quick, we're going to use this pull credentials thing, which is also a secret. It just happens to be this secret. And that's going to set it up so ECS can pull from my private repo in Docker Hub. You could do the same thing for ECR. Actually, ECR, you wouldn't need this part. It would just work, assuming that you had all the right settings set up between ECS and ECR. But if you had it anywhere else, any compliant login registry would work here. You could just launch in the secret. The image, I use makefiles to do things. So
Love it.
It's gonna get the right tag, which is mostly what this magic's gonna do for me. And then this is that secret. And so when I specify the secret here, it's gonna look for this thing called classified. And when it finds it, it'll just use it. If it doesn't find it, it will create it. And in this case, if I had an existing one, I could just specify the existing one. And that's probably what most people would do to get a real secret in here. But if we do make deploy, this is already deployed. So what's going to happen? It's going to make sure it's pushed. And you'll notice it does this even though I already did it, because I always forget to do this. So makefile pushes for me just in case I forget to push. And then, it sets up that pull secret. It sets up that front end image. And then it actually does the compose up. But now it's thinking a lot because this compose up has already been done. So it's doing the reconciliation between what I have and what is running. And so this will take a moment while it figures out like, oh, most of this stuff is up. So I already have an ECS cluster. I already have load balancers. And the two things that are going to be different are the classified secret's going to be updated and the front end service is going to be updated. So now both of those things are updated, but I didn't have to do anything else about changing one of these clusters. So I didn't rebuild the cluster. I didn't do anything. And so that front end service, we can wait for a little bit and maybe show a different demo. What's happening in the background now is in ECS, there are two tasks for that service where there used to just be the one. And actually we can go look at this in the console.
So you can do the little tricks. You can just kill the old task too.
Yeah,
you can. Oh yeah.
So
I was just saying.
I feel bad about doing that though. I feel like I'm doing somebody else's job, and I know I live in San Francisco and I'm used to unions, but I feel like I'm really messing with somebody else's job when I kill a service for it. So we'll see that we have these two tasks. So the front end version 39 is what's currently running. The front end at 40, which is what we replaced it, is let's make it bigger, not smaller. Is what is activating. And then Jonah, it's a 5-minute drain once that's up and running.
Yeah.
And
so
that's customizable.
Yeah. And so I'm sure you can read in the docs, which I've read once, how to change that actually in the compose file, but I'm going to skip that, and we'll see what happens when this is actually running. There we go. So now I can do what what Jonah was suggesting is I can just go into this task and just make sure this is the right one. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the right one. Okay, and I'll kill it. And now, if we go back to the cluster, we still have 2 things running. And if I go back here and I reload this,
yeah, it'll probably take a minute because it's got to do the DNS and everything, but it'll go quicker for sure this way.
Yeah. So it'll eventually come through.
Eventually, the demo gods.
So in this case, though, you were just using, this is just a compose file, right? So it's similar to if you're using compose to test your environments locally. Like,
yeah,
the difference is just switching the context. You maybe want to touch on context a little bit.
Yeah, well, let's go back to that. So how did I do this? So I've got some contexts. So this is the context command. It's pretty much like everything else in Docker. You can list what you've got. You'll see that it doesn't really line up very nicely, but I've got default ECS and this env ECS, which gets this helpful credentials read from the environment. So these are the different places I can send workloads. So the default is Docker Desktop on this Windows box that I'm running on. Then I've got 2 different ECS basically accounts set up. So I've got one that I can send to somewhere over in US West. I created another one for this morning, which we can go create yet another one. So let's do Docker, and we'll show the new flow. So Docker context, create ECS, and we'll call this one couch. And I'm going to have 3 options. Use an existing AWS profile, create a new profile from secret or token credentials, or use environment variables. Nice. I'm going to use environment variables because my particular single sign-on provider, that's how it works when I log into single sign-on and then get magicked into AWS. And so now I've got couch, so I can do Docker context use couch. And you'll see I was using env ECS, and now I'm going to use couch. If I do Docker compose logs, I should still more or less see what's happening. So this is kind of fun. You can see the secrets container is actually, it's being run as a sidecar. And so then it's injecting the classified secret into this for me. And when I did the update, it went ahead and injected it again. And all of that's just working. But that's how what context is for. I could switch this to use default, and I could do make, in this case, make dev, which is, I'll just show you this make file real quick. So here's like the dev. So make sure there's a secret there, and then Docker compose up in this case, the dev version of the compose file. So I have some differences between dev and prod, and I just used the standard sort of Docker inheritance, Docker compose inheritance to make that happen, and up it, and also do build. And I'll just do that from one command, and it should just work. So then we do make dev.
And as you're doing this, so my local testing is going to simulate this at the same endpoints as if I'm talking in production to local on my workstation. Like, you have a Redis backend. How does it know to talk to that Redis backend locally versus an ECS?
So here it is, up and running on localhost 5000. And as part of this, and here's the logs, so we can see the logs kick in. So what happened was, if we go look at this Docker compose dev, I've got the same backend with Redis and the same front end with the web side, and I set some different environment variables here. So I wanted Flask to use the development environment variable, so it supports hot reloading. I wanted to do a volume where I map the code into the container, so that if I make changes outside of the container with my IDE, they get reflected inside of the container. But most of this is all the same. It's still port 5000. It still depends on still secrets. And this backend, because I named it backend, the app is just looking for backend, and that's all it knows. And so when I say backend, make it happen, locally, we take care of the service discovery for you, and remotely, we also take care of the service discovery for you. That just happens in a couple different ways. Remotely, we kind of, it's a little bit of Etsy host magic, a little bit of DNS magic, and remotely, it's a little bit of cloud map magic.
Yeah,
that's pretty fantastic.
Cloud map and service discovery. That is like the coolest thing, is that you don't have to rewrite anything in the cloud.
But you don't really have to know any different here.
Yeah.
It's like, I just want to be, okay, so I'm going to do my development thing, and I'm pretty happy about that. And okay, let's see what's happening. Hello, Twitch and YouTube folks. Timestamp. That's all looks good. So now I'm done. I'm going to switch this and do Docker context use
couch.
We called it couch. and now the same sort of I'm going to use make deploy for this, but if we look at makefile, there's really no difference in what make deploy does, except that it sets this pull secret and it does some magic for the front end image, but it's still just Docker Compose up and off and running. And so, what we saw here that was different than last time was secrets is new, and also the automatic you can make changes and just do an up. Before, you would have to do down, tear everything down, and then up again, and that flow is just a little bit longer because every time is 5 minutes. It's still amazing that it's 5 minutes, but it's still 5 minutes versus it's about 30 seconds. Plus the 5 minute thing, but like Jonah said, you can actually, one, you can change those environment variables, or you can change those variables, but two, you can also just make it so that you just kill it and go faster.
Yeah. So there's a couple of questions from the chat. One is, can you use SSM parameters? I assume, Bokjo, you mean encrypted parameters rather than the secrets manager. So I think secrets manager is probably the more appropriate integration here.
Yeah. And so one really cool thing about the secrets is there's a Docker secret create command from the CLI, and it's basically a better version of the secrets manager CLI. You can create a secret from a file really fast, and it's really nice. But I don't think you can do SSM like you were mentioning.
And then you can once you have them, right, you can manage them here. And that's the other part is this is the other part about this integration that I like, is I can choose which view. So I could go into the console and go to Secrets Manager and go list all these things out, or I could just go to the command line and type this and see at least the things that make sense for me. Same thing for logs, right? I could go to the console and see the logs in CloudWatch, or I could just type Docker Compose logs and then see them here.
Which is pretty darn easy and awesome.
Watch them stream by.
And you're not context switching between different tools. It's all the same tool.
So now I've got some magic for y'all. A lot of people like GPUs nowadays, and that was one of the most in the Docker roadmap. GPU support was by far one of the most requested features. And so here is a Docker Compose file, which will set up a GPU for you. Nice. And so, we've got, this is a PyTorch application. We're going to set some things up, but this is really the important bit here is this little bit, the memory and the GPU that more or less describes the instance I'm going to get on the back end. And I'm not really good at remembering, but this is going to be a big old G, right?
That's what they call me.
Big old G instance. So let's just do Docker compose. And I'm going to point out some things that are a little bit different about not Docker dash, Docker space.
Do you want to talk about why it's not Docker dash? It's a little interesting history, right?
Yeah, Docker Compose was originally a Python application. And so Docker dash compose is still that Python application. Docker Space Compose is the re-envisioning of Compose brought into Docker.
That's awesome.
And so that's the difference. And so you can type them both, but if you want to use it with ECS, you'll need the one without the dash. So this is a really interesting thing, I think, is that we were just on ECS, and now we're talking about EC2 in this output here. And what's happening is the way to get a GPU instance for us is that we're going to behind the scenes create an EC2 instance for you and sort of all of the magic around that, and then reattach it in to your ECS cluster so that you don't know that. You just said, I want a GPU, and you don't know them. You don't have to know what magic incantation is required to get a GPU. You just want a GPU. And this is because you couldn't put GPUs on Fargate, which is the current default, right? Right.
Yeah.
So for us, we chose Fargate in part because there's really no overhead for a developer to think about, like instance types or anything. I just want this container to run, y'all. Like, make it happen for me. And so Fargate was perfect for that, up until the point that we got to GPUs and folks were like, well, I'd like a GPU now. Like, well, I'd love to help you, but what do we do? So this is what's ended up happening. So we create for you a bunch of, and it's all in CloudFormation. And so we can actually look at that in a minute. But we create the instance role, and then I think we're going to create an auto scaling group here in a second. It takes a little bit, all these things take a little bit of time the first time through it.
Yep.
I think this is about a 5-minute process.
So is this a straight EC2 instance, or is it an EC2 instance attached to the ECS control plane?
This is an EC2 instance attached to the ECS control plane.
Okay, good. Okay. Just checking, just making sure.
Yeah.
While we're waiting, there was a side question in chat about your shell. I would really like to know the customization tools for Bash that he's using. Someone likes your shell.
I'm happy to talk about my shell. So it's Zeesh. So what I have, my shell stack is I have Zeesh, I have Oh My Zeesh, and then the PowerShell, the Go version. So which does all of the like the magic-y, the pretty bit that the person who asked the question cares about.
Yeah.
So if we look for PowerShell Go Lang, which one of this is it? I forget. Hold on one second. So I everybody loves getting the question about, like, hey, what's your shell look like? My dot files aren't public, mostly because I'm too lazy to fix them so that they're not bad. But it's pretty simple, sort of Oh My Zeesh with a bunch of sort of magic down here. This is entirely too much magic that basically sorts a whole bunch of if we look at, like, basically I can just drop a dot zeesh in here and it automatically gets picked up, and then it does the right thing depending on whether it's Mac or Windows or something else. So there's a lot of geekiness in here.
Nice. So you can, these are probably, are they all Oh My Zeesh plugins?
Some of them are, and some of them are just my custom
Gotcha.
insanity.
Because I'm thinking we could, whoever asked, you might be able to just, look at the Oh My Zeesh plugin and find one that does basically all that stuff. Powerline Go.
This is what you
wow.
This is and it works for lots of different shells, not just Zeesh. So if you're on Bash, you can use this as well. But this is the magic of like what most of mine does. And if we go back and look at this, you can see. So I have some modules and I just use standard modules, and then there's modules and then modules write. I've got some Docker context module. I use the kube module if it detects the kubes in there. If I've got Git going, it'll pull that out. And then I also have one where if I type this like present command, it'll turn all this stuff off so that when I'm doing stuff for like your guys' show, I can turn it all off. So just Powerline Go. We'll do most of this for you.
Awesome.
Wow.
So it's still running and it just finished.
Oh, perfect.
Nice.
What great time. Let's go to the console and go find this cluster real quick. Here's containers from. And here's this. If we go into the tasks, we'll click on this task and we'll see that the launch type is EC2. And if we go click on this instance ID, it's a G4DN2.
Wow.
Wow.
All right. So fair warning, if any of you guys out there do this in your own account, just check it. I mean, you're paying by the second, I think, but check the price as soon as it comes up, and just be ready for the cost, because GPUs aren't cheap.
Yep.
So don't be surprised by that.
So here's the way that you make that go away. Is you just go ahead and down that thing when the job is done.
I want to just make sure we don't gloss over how damn simple that was. So you created an ECS cluster, an orchestration environment to run your container, to scale your container, to make sure that your container runs the image, everything you need. And it's all just defined in that tiny little Docker Compose you had. Yeah. And everything else was opinion off of good practice built into the tool. Like this is, Brent, we talk about it all the time. If you have an option to use an opinionated tool, something that's going to build in all the good practices to make sure that you're running in a way that's safe, highly available, secure, etc., why not? Like it's just no brainer.
Yeah. So this was basically 20 lines plus 2 commands. Awesome. And then it just worked, and I can tear it down and not worry about leaving it running and send it back up whenever I need to send it back up.
That's awesome. And one thing too is you can convert this into CloudFormation and change that instance type if you want to use like Graviton or something like the I series, right?
So I can do Docker Compose convert and then just turn it into the replica or the CloudFormation. And so you can go through there and change whatever you need to change if you want to tweak it, beyond which we can tweak. But if you read the docs through the compose file, and actually we can show this in the most requested feature. This was the second most requested feature. The most requested feature was storage. We can show that if we go actually, let's just look at this Minecraft real quick. I mean, who doesn't want to play video games for work? So we're going to set a volume in here, and I can tweak an awful lot about how that thing is going to get created in the compose file. Now, I'm just tweaking this because for the demo, this is a useful thing to do, but you wouldn't have to. but there's still quite a lot of power in the compose side for you to tweak a whole bunch of stuff without having to break glass and go to CloudFormation. So docs.docker.com, go read the docs. There's probably a lot that you can tweak without having to break glass. But if you have to break glass, Docker Compose converts there for you.
Nice.
So to show just how easy it is, maybe we have Adam do this. But I'll talk about, while he gets ready, I'll talk about what we're going to see.
I love that. Let's just to see how easy this
just
really
to see
is.
How easy it is.
We're gonna. I can't even say it. I can't. I was thinking of train monkey jokes right and left, and I just got overwhelmed. So sorry.
Look, normally I'm all in for this. I'm having some issues locally right now with my laptop. So,
all right, I'll do it. I'll do it.
I know it's my fault. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
It's all me. So
what are we gonna do here? We're gonna get a Minecraft server because why not? It's socially distant, appropriate hanging out.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna launch it into ECS. I'm gonna set some environment variables just to tweak a little bit. So you need to accept the EULA, turns out. I'm gonna set a seed. One of the things that I've heard is that this seed is the seed that all like the screenshots are taken from. So just kind of a fun seed. I'm going to send the operator to the username that I use. So I'm op, so I can kick people out if people show up that I don't want. I'm going to send a message to the day, and I'm going to grab a bunch of memory. I'm going to deploy this thing. I'm going to set some resource limits. So there's going to be 1 CPU and 12 gigs of RAM. That's just an arbitrary number that I picked. Minecraft is single threaded, so there's no point in grabbing more CPU than that. 12 seems to be a pretty reasonable number for a Minecraft server where you might have a bunch of guests suddenly show up.
Yep.
So I picked a large enough number that guests can show up if guests show up. And we're going to attach a volume so that the world is persisted across restarts. Because what's the point of building a whole bunch of cool stuff in Minecraft if it just deletes every time you stop the server? And so this is actually going to use EFS to persist the data. And I don't have to know anything about that. I just have to do Docker Compose up. And that's it. And it'll go build a Minecraft server for me, which I think is fairly cool.
That is really cool.
And if you think about it, like Minecraft actually is kind of it's an app just like many of us run at work. It's a Java app. It's got heap and things that you might want to tweak around its actual performance. It's single threaded, so throwing more cores at it doesn't actually matter. And so you can manage all of these pieces in however long that compose file was. It was about 30, 40 lines. And now I've deployed in about 5 minutes a Java application, enterprise grade. People show up on it, and I didn't really have to know anything about the particulars. And to your point, it's done in a best practice way. The security groups are all done the right way. The roles and all of that's the right way. CloudWatch is plumbed in, so I can see
even
everything.
Just getting EFS set up correctly. That can be a challenge for people that are new, and the fact that this is going to do it correctly for you, that's a huge win. So that's really awesome.
Yeah, and in the previous example where we had multiple services, I want to talk to the front end. I want to talk to the back end. I don't necessarily need to know more than that, and it should just work. And so, really, when we started this with talking with Amazon, that's what we wanted to achieve was, when a developer comes on and they're a new developer at a new shop, and it's suddenly like you have to learn this and then this and then this and then this and then this, And some of it is the framework that you're using. Some of it is the cloud that you're going to. Some of it is the tools that you use to do the development. Like in this case, maybe Docker. Like that can just get overwhelming. And really the hope for Docker was like, let's just put all of that complexity behind a simplicity button and just let you click the button.
Because and people ask for this.
Yeah, totally. And developers don't always, in fact, I can't tell you how many times I've had developers kind of complain about having to learn an infrastructure as code language, and especially one that isn't a true programming language, and then they're having to learn all the workarounds for it to make it do what they need it to do. And they'll be done with their app and then faced with the challenge of having to build their infrastructure and have that's a whole additional week to their timeline usually just to be able to get that kind of stuff right. So having all of that just go away is huge,
because in the end we just want, like most of us just want to get our stuff done and go home, right? So like what's the fastest way, not necessarily the fastest way for me to go home, but maybe the fastest way for me to go home, right? Like I'm just trying to get the check boxes done, especially nowadays, like where the lines kind of blur for what we're doing and what we're at.
I don't know if you can go into this or not, but I'm going to rephrase this question just a little bit. Rory G18 wants to know, how comprehensive are the docs, the tutorials, and everything like that at the moment? And since this is GA, I think that's certainly a great question. But then, is there a roadmap? Like, what's coming next?
So here's the. We can drop it in chat.
I put it in chat already.
Great. So the ECS integration, so you can sort of go through all the different pieces. There's some parts that we didn't talk about today, like setting up auto scaling. There's lots of different pieces and parts in here, how to tune the CloudFormation template. So this is where most of the docs are. All the different specifics about like the rolling update when you do an update. So this is the docs. The blog post is a pretty good place that we put out earlier that sort of highlights where everything is. And then I've got examples in my GitHub repo, but also there's Awesome Compose, which is sort of like just probably 30 or 40 Compose files right now, which more or less all just show Compose working with this. And so, that's, I think there's a ton. And then where do people go if you've got something? So Docker roadmap is where you would go if you have like a feature request, or if you want something, if you see something that isn't there that you would like to see. The other one to try, or the other one would be Compose CLI. This is the actual repo where this integration lives. So if you have an issue, this is where you would go to file an issue, outside of sort of the normal places that you would go. So these two repos are probably where I would start if you want to get involved, if you want to submit tickets. Then there's the docs, and then the blog post is sort of where folks are. But yeah, the docs should be fairly.
Find that blog post.
Nice. Yeah.
Full featured.
There's another question from Sathya Bihat. At what point do we go for something like CDK in favor of this? I think maybe a slightly different question would be, how does this position against Terraform, CDK, and Pulumi and those kinds of things? And I don't know. I think of this as a tool that gets out of your way. And you don't have to, like you were saying, Chad, you don't have to learn something new because this is part of your development workflow. Whereas, CDK, Pulumi, Terraform, CloudFormation, those are all things that, you directly have to know and learn and interface with. But the other thing is you aren't going to, with this Compose integration, you aren't going to bring up an SQS queue and you know, an RDS instance, maybe eventually an RDS instance, that would be like pretty close. But there's probably lots of infrastructure at AWS that this may never touch on that CDK still can do. So I see the CDK as being like a flexible tool that you will go and make a deliberate choice to use. Whereas this is something that you're probably already using. So you're just going to extend your usage of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's about right. So I know that there are requests on actually the roadmap for sort of the easy bucket things. So RDS, SQS, sort of those things where maybe you could specify that in Compose and then get it. So there are, but that's you know, a very limited selection of like the total of AWS services, you know, surface area. And then I think it's, you know, where do you want to spend your time? So if this works and it's going to work for you, then are you good, or do you need to do something else? And then once you hit a point that the tool doesn't work for you, maybe that's the time to break glass and do something.
Bingo.
Yep.
And so
love it.
And by the way, that's where that CloudFormation output comes into play. Now I've outgrown this tool somehow. You know, now I can use that CloudFormation output. I can take that, create my CDK templates, continue with CloudFormation. I can do as I wish. But
Absolutely.
you have room to grow.
That's very true.
So let's play Minecraft.
Are we joining a Minecraft server?
Yeah. So here's the logs, right? It's up and running. I'll drop this into chat. Let me grab.
And look, if your boss or someone asks, why are you playing Minecraft at work, say, I'm
learning Docker.
Purely work-related, learning Docker. Exactly.
Learning Docker, you know.
That's it.
So let's drop this in. So if you go to that, if you want to drop that into chat, and then I will go here.
And so, Chad, I did want to ask one question. So Boke Joe earlier asked about SSM parameter store secrets. So right now the integration is only with Secrets Manager. But if Boke Joe has a case that really makes sense to integrate within the Compose or within the Docker integration, what should he do to request that? Should he go to the roadmap, open an issue? What's recommended there? Yeah.
Open the issue and then start chatting with the PMs. Thanks, Jonah. So Jonah just smacked me in the head, but so this is, and what I did is I left this up, I left the logs up in the background so that you can see. So I joined the game, and then Jonah's joined the game, so other people potentially can join this. But
yeah, if you're out there on Twitch, we pasted the link. If you have, I guess it's the Java version.
I'll leave it up for a bit, and we'll just run around and find cows. Whatever else you. I have other work to do today, so I don't want to go build a castle a bit.
You said you were an architect.
Yeah.
Time to prove it.
It's pretty fun to in 5 minutes, have something up and running where, we could all go play games, or in this case, we could all be doing work. If this was like a Java app for our respective employers. So there's somebody who I have no idea.
Rex Roof. I recognize Rex Roof.
Hey.
Nice.
So yeah, it's, I think this is kind of the summary of what the last, 9 months have been, is getting this out so that it is just this easy. And then, what is next? So I think things like RDS and SQS would be pretty like softball kind of tasks. And so those, I know those are both on the roadmap. And then there's some other things that I think we're thinking about, Graviton instances and that sort of thing, and what would that look like. So there's definitely lots on the roadmap that you can go chat about.
Just to confirm, Chad, the GPUs, is that GA or is that beta, edge, or?
That's a good question. I don't know. It's the newest of the features, and so I think most of the workflows that I've heard from this are folks that are doing like one and done sort of ML things, and I think it's going to fit really well in that category where you're like, you're basically throwing work at an instance to get it done, and you're going to run this GPU instance for however long it takes to run the work, and then you're going to be done with it. So I think in that case it's a really solid way to go. The rest of it is pretty solid. We've had we had a number of our customers probably, I'd say, put this into production faster. Oh, people are digging me in the grave.
Yeah.
Faster than I would have done. But we do have a number of folks that are using this sort of all the time now. So yeah, I mean, I think, this is definitely in a place where you can build upon it and be pretty excited about what happens.
Nice. And GA was supposed to be production, right? That is like the stamp of saying it's production ready. Okay.
Yes, that's right. What's the learning curve for Docker Compose?
Yeah.
If you're learning Docker, it's basically just learning Docker. Docker Compose is like Docker Run is where most people start, and then Docker Compose is usually the very next thing that people learn. If nothing else, then just to make make Docker Run easier, because Docker Compose will remember all the parameters for you, so you don't have to type them every time. And I'm a big fan of not typing things, so I love Compose for that. And I love Makefiles for the same reason. But I think that basically once you learn Docker and just the top level Docker Run syntax, then you'll be good to just jump into Compose, which is just ever so slightly more, which basically it's a file format. And sorry, it's in YAML. And
I don't apologize for YAML. It's still easier than everything else so far.
It's not XML.
That's right.
Right.
Exactly.
I'd be angry if it was XML. I'm sorry. I would be legit mad.
Well, we're about out of time. But
Yes.
I wanted to thank Chad and Jonah for joining us. This is awesome. And as expected, it stayed super simple. Like that's the beauty of Docker and Docker Compose, is that the experience is super simple. And it doesn't matter if you're doing it locally or now, bringing up infrastructure in the cloud. The simplicity remains, and that's what's awesome about it. So definitely go check it out. Check out the ECS integration, the new Docker Compose integration. And Adam, you want to throw in any last reInvent thoughts?
One thing, someone asked, will this be recorded later? youtube.com/containersfromthecouch or containersfromthecouch.com. And yeah, be prepared this week. It's going to be we're going to have some awesome announcements. We're going to talk through them, demo them live. It's going to be a blast. So Chad, Jonah, you guys are awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks so much.
Bye.